I'm Larry Menti. Welcome back to the Delaware Way. The idea of creating right-to-work zones within Delaware has died in the legislature, at least for this session, but it may not be dead for good. To talk more about that is David Stevenson, who is the director of the Center for Energy Competitiveness at the Caesar Rodney Institute. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
First of all, explain what a right-to-work zone would be.
Right-to-work zone simply is a selected area that the Delaware Economic Development Office would select to say that in this area, for example, the Boxwood Road auto assembly plant could be made a right-to-work zone. And in that zone, you would not have to join a union for a company that located there. Right now, there's a federal law that says if a union wins a vote to organize a factory by 50% plus one vote, they get to charge dues to everybody on the site. Right to work simply allows workers to choose whether to join the union, whether to pay the dues or not.
Yeah, and there's right-to-work states across America.
25 now.
But right-to-work zones have been struck down time and time again. What makes you think it would work here?
States have the right to come up with whatever right-to-work law they want. The federal law has in it that states decide what to do. So, for example, some states have chosen just certain counties have right to work. So this is the first time for a right to work zone, but we expect that it would pass muster.
And the idea for those who are, let's get the pro and the con of it. The pro would be that it would create jobs and give an incentive for companies to move to Delaware and open up shop here.
Exactly. In 2012, Indiana became a right to work state. Last year, they added 120,000 jobs, and 50,000 of those, by the way, were union.
Now, when we started to talk about this before you came on, you said you have some news.
Yes, Volvo has selected a site for an auto assembly plant. They're going to Charleston, South Carolina. It's $500 million in construction. The state of South Carolina will spend $120 million improving their port, adding road capacity, adding railroads. And here's Delaware. We already have an assembly plant sitting in Newport. We have the port, we have the roads, we have the rail, we don't have the jobs. The governor called Volvo and they didn't return the call. And the primary reason was because of a lack of right-to-work legislation
and how do you know
in
that?
this state. It was reported in the USA Today, but what you do is there are surveys that are done.
They said specifically they weren't going to go to Delaware because it wasn't right to work, or that they went to South Carolina
because it was a right to work.
But you don't know the reason that they didn't come to Delaware.
No, but there are surveys. There are site selection companies that they consult with companies that are looking for a site. Half of those companies will not even take their client to a state that doesn't have right to work. And it's even a higher percentage when it's a manufacturing plant. We've lost 23,000 manufacturing jobs in Delaware in the last 2 decades. We're down to 2% of the workforce is private sector union in this state. They might as well be on the endangered species list, there's so few of them. If we really want to grow unions, the way to do it is to have more jobs.
That's interesting you say that, because the attack on the proposal is that it's union busting. The attack on the proposal is that it would necessarily bring down wages in Delaware and make it so that health care would not be affordable to workers in Delaware.
Well, first of all, you can't bust what's already broken. We are, as I said, down to 2% private sector employees in Delaware. We've got 6,000 people working in manufacturing. Indiana added 120,000 jobs just last year, and 50,000 were union. Unions have a great story to tell. Our country wouldn't be like it is without unions. They've helped with wages, they've helped with benefits, they've helped with safety in the workplace. But they need to tell that story and get people to join on a voluntary basis rather than having this monopoly that they have relied on. So what's happened is the unions, they don't have to convince a worker to join. They simply can force them to join. And that's not the way the U.S. works. That's not the way our country is built. We don't allow monopolies in business. We don't have a dictatorship for a government. And we need to have the same freedom of choice for workers.
Thank you, sir. Thanks
you.
for coming in. I'm sure it'll come up again next session. Would love to have you back then.
Yeah.
David Stevenson, the director for the Center for Energy Competitiveness at the Caesar Rodney Institute. Coming up next, we'll talk about the Delaware Center of contemporary arts when the Delaware Way continues.